Okay, so here were the steps yesterday. So the first thing was that I recognized this as a trig value. And we said, well, what quadrants are we in because of the trig value? We used our Astica. Then we went to our calculator and we inversed the trig value to get a reference angle. And then we took the reference angle and figured out if we're that far off the x-axis, where are we? Okay, so now we're going to add a step above the trig value. So here we go. We first have to get the trig value, and then everything else is going to be the same as yesterday. So the trig value, to get the trig value, I'm going to go back to the paper that I said you're going to use everything with. So this paper, the bright pink one that we did, is the basics of all algebra. So here's the branch. If you have one variable type, you should think to isolate. If you have two variable types, instantly zero it out. Then you should go through, can I factor it? And I got to understand all my factoring types. If I can't factor, I have the formula. Okay, you always go through this algebra branch. Okay, so algebra branch, where are we here? What do you recognize? I only see one variable. So what should I do when I see one variable? Isolate. So I'm going to move around stuff. What should I get rid of? Subtract 4. Then I will divide by 2. This is the trig value. That's all we did, was just the trig value. For some reason, I get people who stop there on a test because they think that they found the solution, which is for the angle. All you found was the trig value. Okay, so don't stop there because you're going to get 10%. Okay, next. Astica. Where could I be if the sine of the angle has a positive trig value? 1 or 2, the tops. Okay, now we go to the inverse function. So this is the same as yesterday. Sine inverse, and I'm going to need brackets like that around. Are you getting 30 degrees? This is also not the answer to my question. What is this part again? The reference angle. So I first solved for the trig value, second solve for the reference angle. The last solution is the final answer. So 30 degrees is an answer. And the other answer, if I'm connected to this x-axis by 30, what would I mathematically do? 180 minus. You, on a test, you can check your answer. Why don't you type this in? Go 2 times sine 150 plus 4 equals, if you type that into your calculator, you should get 5, right? 2 times the sine of 150 plus 4 should equal 5. You can check that. Okay, number 5, algebra branch. Where are we? Just one variable. So I'm going to collect, isolate, So I got to get the one variable together then. What do you want to do to group stuff? What's the best first maneuver? I'm going to subtract 4 cos theta. So this would be 3 cos theta. And that would be gone. Okay, isolation, algebra. What do you want to move around now? I'm going to subtract 4. And divide. Okay, we did all that algebra just to get a, what is this called again? A trig value. That's just a trig value. So you have 10% of your question is done. So don't stop. Next, Astica. Where could my angle end up? It has a cos negative trig value.
The left side.
The left. 2 and 3. Okay, so trig value, Astica. Reference is the next. I need a reference angle. So that means I'm going to inverse to get a reference angle. That's my next step. So when I type this in, what do you remember from yesterday? What was my big rule? Don't put the negatives in the math. What did we do? We put the negatives into the locations. So just 1 divided by 3. Don't put negatives in the math. Okay, then step 4, get your actual final answer. Okay, so we have 2 answers. We're good? Got those? Okay, number 6. Algebra branch. What is your strategy? What is your strategy? Do you have 1 variable? No. I have 2 variables. I have a cos squared and a cos. So that's 2 different variables. So I got to zero it out. That's done. Okay, next I say, does it factor? Do you recognize any types? Should I list them? Is it a GCF, a difference of squares, simple trinomial, or complex trinomial? Simple trinomial. So how do we do simples? We do 2 brackets. The first times the first needs to make that. So I need a cos theta and a cos theta to make a cos squared theta. What multiplies to that and adds to that? What multiplies to 2? 2 times 1? Which one is positive, which one is negative? Because you need to make a plus 1 in the middle. Okay, so this is like last unit. And the cos theta here would equal, do you remember how to do the solutions? -2. And the cos theta in this one would equal positive 1. Okay, these are called trig values. That's all you did. Trig values. We have 2 trig values. So we haven't started our angle process. Okay, so we are going to have to do kind of two branches now. Okay, so the first thing is -2. I'm going to do that one. Trig value done. So step 1 with angles is which quadrants are you going to go to? Cos negative. The left. Step 3, get me a reference amount. So what do I type in my calculator? Cos inverse of 2. Positive 2. The negative is in the drawing, the location. Is your calculator telling you that there's an error? So there's no solution. And that is accurate. Because cosine trig values are not allowed to be outside of -1 and to 1. Okay, jumping to the next trig value. Cos is 1. So I got to pick the quadrants that I want to start with. The rights. Step 3, get me a reference. So you inverse it, cos inverse of 1, and you get 0 degrees. So what do I do if I go 0 degrees up? What am I at? 0. What if I go 0 degrees back? You're at 360. There's 2 answers. Okay, does that make sense on the circle? That position is 0 and 360. So my drawing isn't really accurate. Technically, that's exactly where my angle is. Exactly on the line. Okay, number 7. What do you want to do algebraically based on last unit? What do you want to do to get tan alone? There's 2 things. There's 2 methods. What do you want? Any suggestions? Square root? So the square rooting of a squared tan just gets you to the tan. What is the answer from last unit?
Plus or minus.
Plus or minus 2. Okay, I'm just going to show you if you had moved the 4 over, it would have been a difference of squares. Do you see how plus and minus 2 is important? Plus and minus. Okay, so that's a trig value. Now, quadrants, Astica. Where is tan positive and negative 2? Everywhere. Positive and negative, right?
No.
You're going to have 4 answers to this. Okay? The positive 2, the negative. Now, so quadrants, reference. So get a reference amount. So trig value, Astica, reference, final. Okay, see if if you can get all 4 answers there. Okay, so again, this quadrant would be 180 minus. This quadrant would be 180 plus. And this quadrant would be 360 minus. Do they all work out? This quadrant would be 0 plus, which is just the number itself, right? Also, are you connecting your ideas that whatever this angle is, do you understand your number should be between 90 and 180? So I've had these on tests where somebody put it here, but then they put like 200 and something. There should be a red flag. In this quadrant, you have to be between 90 and 180, right? Okay, number 8. Okay, algebra first. So you go to your pink sheet and you say, what should I do? Isolate. There's only one variable. So isolate, I'm going to subtract 7. Okay, we are done the trig value part. That's a trig value. We're done part 1. Part 2 is my Astica location. What quadrant am I in if sign is 0? Ooh, this is a little bit tricky. Is 0 positive or negative? It's not. So guess what? I'm not even in on any quadrant because I can't be positive or negative. So I'm not in any of the quadrants. Where could I be if I'm not in a quadrant?
On a quadrant.
On a line. So the question is, which line am I on? You have 5 choices right now for an answer. Those are your 5 options. So we have to figure out which one it's going to be. So you're going to test. You're just going to go through a test. So you're going to test, what do you want to do? The sign of, like for instance, the sign of 90. Is it 0? No. So 90 didn't work. Okay, a hint is that it's either going to be x-axis numbers or y-axis numbers. So test. Try another one. You want to try a sine of 180, for instance? Sine of 180 tested is 0. So 180 works. So what other angles would work? 0 and 360, 270, it would not. So you have 3 answers to that question. Okay, we're going to amp it up another notch. More algebra. Okay, I hope this doesn't confuse you, but this just means from 0 to 360, because in grade 12 we're going to start to do more than the 360. So. Okay, algebra. Tell me what to do. Pink sheet, algebra branch, what spot are you in? There's more than one variable. I've zeroed it out. So I think your next step is to look through your factoring list and try to pick a style.
GCF.
It is a GCF. Okay, what can I take out of this term and this term? What do they both have in them? cos x bracket. Okay, cos x is out. So cos x times what makes that first unit? Cos x times what makes that second unit? Plus 1, yeah. Okay, this is going to get me my trig values. If I want this to be 0, cos x would have to be 0. If I want this bracket to be 0, sine x would have to equal, and this is a fraction, negative 1 over 6. This is all the same as last unit, it's just that there's not an x there, it's a trig. Okay, all that work, those were trig values. Okay, where is cos located? Where's the angle located if the trig value is 0?
0, 180.
It's not in the quadrants. So which line would it be? Can we cheat? Can we go up here? Where was sine 0? Those ones. So where do you think cos would be 0?
Other ones.
The 90 and 270 ones, yeah. And we can try it, because that's what I would be doing. I would test it out. The cos of 90, yep, that's a 0. So 90 degrees and 270 degrees would be answers. So if you're not in a quadrant, you have to be on one of those 5 answers. Okay, where are you with this one? Sine came out to be a negative trig value. Quadrant. Got it memorized? Bottoms. Quadrants. Now you're going to have to do reference. So inverse. What do you know? Not the positive, or not the negative. Do not do the negative in it. The negative is in its location. Final answer, where are you? If you go 9.6 degrees off of that axis, so that question came out with 4 answers. Oh, what did I do here? 180 plus 9.6.
Oh, plus 9.6. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, plus.
I
Yep.
just
Did you minus?
Yeah.
Because you're going ahead of it, yeah.
Yeah.
Bigger than it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yours would have ended up in that top quadrant, right?
Yeah.
Okay. 2 more challenging ones. Algebra branch. I got 2 variables, sine squareds and sines. Those are different variables. So I zeroed out. So the next puzzle piece is, does it factor? Which style? Somebody know what style that would be? Did you think it looks like a complex trinomial?
Yeah.
How do we start complex trinomial business? What do we do? Flood. We get the flood number, which is positive 12. One, 12, 2, 6, 3, 4. I need something to do a positive 12 multiplication and a negative 13 addition. Does anything work? Negative, negative to multiply positive, add negative 13. Okay, what should I do to make this f? I will go sine x times 3 sine x. That's the only option to do that. What could I do to make the L? I got two options there. 1, 4, 2, 2. Then you need to find yourself some partners. One partner needs to make a 1, one partner needs to make a 12. Did you find something to do that? Okay, now you need to line up everything inside some brackets. So the first times the first. Make yourself an outside and an inside rainbow on the foil. And then line up your partners. You did the 1 sign with a 1. You did the 3 sign with a 4. So sine x equals what? Sine x equals what? Those are the trig values you're going to get. From all this algebra, you're getting trig values. So I got a positive 4 and a fraction. 1/3. Okay, trig values, all that work, you're done 10% of the question. You're done all the old stuff. Okay, so that's why I said you're factoring, you need to have it mastered, or else you're going to get everything from there on out incorrect. Got to have that factoring mastered. Okay, sine is positive 4. Quadrants. Inversing the trig value gets you to an angle. And then my calculator on the inverse, was it saying that you're getting an error? Okay, but you aren't done. You actually have to state something. What should you state now? What is the angle? The angle is no solution to that angle. No solution. Okay, the next one. So this time I'm looking at the trig 1/3, positive sign. So I find my quadrants. Sine inverse. we all end up with the same 2 answers. That's it. 2 answers for that one. Okay, last question of the day. So, to me, this looks like a complex trinomial, right? Because it's got a something, x squared. Okay, so complex, I'm going to flow number it, which is -8. First number times the last number, so that's a -8. 1, 8, 2, 4, I need something to produce a 3. Can you get a 3 out of a 1 and an 8? 2 and 4? No. Uh-oh. What do we do? Quadratic formula. Remember on the algebra branch, you go through your factorings. If it doesn't factor, you have the formula. Okay. Instead of writing x equals, I'm going to write tan x equals. Okay. The formula is -b, so I'm going to write +3. Plus or minus the root of, what is b squared? 9. Subtract 4 times the a number times the c number. All over 2 times the a number. Okay, I would like you to do this root part in your calculator. So go 9, subtract 4 times 2 times -4.
Hello? Hello?
Random. 41?
Who's tripping us like that? Probably mom. Probably Coke's mom.
Okay, are we all set up good there? Okay, give me your 2 values. So do you remember how to type that into your calculator? You'd be like this: 3 plus the square root of 41 divided by 4. 3 minus, this is how you're typing it. Okay, again, all this work, this algebra part from last unit, is only 10% of your question. These are just your trig values. You haven't even tackled anything to do with angles yet. So now you take those trig values, you do your astica, your reference inverse, final answers. So can you work to get me 4 answers on that question, please? Okay, I'll let you work on your own, and then I'll have mine up here.